Welcome, Cracky. Welcome. It feels weird still calling you Cracky. Do many
Yeah,
people know your real name?
I'm kind of come accustomed to it now. I've dropped my book.
So we're going to talk about this season,
Mm.
which is obviously just sort of ended. And well, I say just ended. Feels like it's been over for like a year because there's just nothing to do over the weekends now. The first season back in the Championship for a number of years. Were your expectations hit on the return to the Championship, or were you disappointed, or did it go exactly the way you sort of felt?
It kind of went the exact way I thought it was going to. A relegation battle from pretty much start to finish. I thought it would come down to the final game of the season, to be fair, but it didn't. So for me, it kind of hit the expectations from the beginning.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's quite a good season.
What was really interesting, I was listening to a podcast yesterday and they were talking about the gulf between the Championship and the Premier League,
Yeah.
because obviously the last couple of years, the top three teams in the Championship have gone up, have just come straight back down. Have you seen, or do you believe there's a big gulf between League One and the Championship, the same as there is between the Championship and the Premier League?
Yeah, see, the way I look at the championship is like it's the kind of two leagues in one. I feel like from the sort of first to tenth, the golf is massive in comparison from tenth to 24th. So like 24th to like 14th is normally like a relegation scrap. So for me, I'd think 24th to 14th are closer to the level of League One than they
Yeah.
are to the top end of the Championship.
And the points tally is always, there's only a few points in it. You lose a couple of games, you could be bottom
Yeah,
half. You win a couple of games, and suddenly you're in the playoffs
yeah,
somewhere. So it,
literally,
it
it's
can
crazy.
really go from nowhere. And I think a fine example of that's actually Coventry. I know they didn't go up this season, but they were, they had a poor start, sacked their manager. Frank Lampard came in, and suddenly, they made the playoffs,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. Do you think this season was almost like a dress rehearsal for what's to come, or do you think it was a one-off?
I do think it was a dress rehearsal, 100%. I don't think it's a one off. I feel like we're. I have this vision that in the next 5 years we'll probably be back in the Premier League. It probably is biased on my behalf, but that's my view on it. I feel like we've got the right owners behind us. We're clever with the way we spend money. Um, I know a lot of people want us to spend more money, but look at the players who did so well this season. Josh Murphy, we got him for free, paid nothing, and he's been one of our best players. So I
And he
think we're
plays for
doing it the right
Newcastle at
way.
the same time,
Yeah, exactly. Two teams at once is a madness.
backing up those assists. What amazes me quite a lot as well is, let's talk about the goalkeeper situation.
Yeah,
Now, Will Norris coming up from League One was a hero, lauded. A lot of people really did love Will Norris. It came very clear within the first 7 or 8 games, it just wasn't clicking for him.
mm,
And I have to give credit to the manager here. We're going to speak about John Mousinho
yeah.
shortly, but how much credit have you got to give John Mousinho, being a very young manager, to actually take Will Norris out and say, we need a new goalkeeper?
Oh, definitely a lot of credit, especially after his first season. Like you said, Will Norris was so good, like influential last season, you could say. He made a few mistakes here and there, but overall, his season, the 23-24 season, he was by far one of the better keepers in the division, wasn't he? So
Yeah,
for him to
absolutely.
basically, yeah, throw him out is it must be awkward. Like you said, he's such a young manager too. That his first kind of 2 seasons in management, and he had the bottle to do that, and also then rely on a keeper that he's got from an Austrian league. So it's clever. I feel like he's a very clever man, isn't he, Tom Mousinho?
And we have to talk about Nico Schmid. We're going to go into
Yeah.
transfers anyway, but I mean, this guy was obviously one of the performers of the season, one of the stars of the season, along with the likes of Josh Murphy, who more or less was a clean sweep for all the awards this year. Um, how big a difference was Nico Schmid?
Influential, influential. Some of the saves he made this season were up there with some of the best saves I've seen in a very long time, very long time. And I feel like if it wasn't for Nico, it could have been a very problematic season for us. Very
Yeah.
problematic.
I mean, he did make some incredible saves and kept us in a lot of games. One of the things which was always frustrating about Pompey this season is the amount of late goals we conceded, but
Mm.
it would never seem to be. a goalkeeping issue. It just seemed to be a lapse in defence or lack of concentration from the back line.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, he must have at least saved us 7, 8, 9 points this
yeah,
season, I'd
definitely,
say.
definitely, yeah. And I think some of his saves have been kind of underlooked too. Like, there's one against Norwich where it kind of deflected, was going into the bottom corner. He ended up saving it, and that was a 0-0 draw. So that was a game that, if that did go in, if we had Will Norris maybe in there or another keeper, they wouldn't be getting down to that. The reactions just wouldn't be there, and that would have been 3 points lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And the transfer window, I mean, you touched upon it there. A lot of Pompey fans saying, we need to spend more money, we need to do
Yeah,
this, we need to do that. There was actually a lot of players that came in. Okay, the money wasn't spent. I've got the sort of figures here. 4.9 million was the out expenditure, which I mean is nothing compared
no,
to most championship teams or even the Premier League when that barely plays for a player's left toenail.
yeah,
So
literally.
the fact that we spent that, and I think there was something like 15, 16 players that in came, and that's including loans as well. And in terms of just selling players, we only made 300,000.
Mm.
But, spending 4.9 million on your first sort of season back in the championship, when you're spending such a low figure of money, can people be surprised that Portsmouth weren't in the top half and not making the playoffs? Because a lot of people were saying it's going to be playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I know. I got a lot of that in my comments. To be fair, um, see, for me, it's not a money game. I know a lot of people look at it like that, but if you're bored and the team they've got around them, that a transfer team, are intelligent enough, they can get these deals done. For example, like Murphy, who comes in, has the season he's had on a free. Do we need to go and splash money if we can get players in who are going to do just as good as someone if we went and bought him for 5 million? Like Abu Kamara, people were a little bit annoyed with at the start of the season
Mhm.
because we wanted him obviously, but like you said, we spent 4.9 million, so almost 5 million over the course of the year. He would have cost us 4.5 million. Would he have done just
Yeah.
as good as someone like Matt Ritchie, who, well, come in, had a bit of a poor start and ended up doing really well to the middle to the back end of the season?
Yeah,
For
I
me,
agree with you there.
money
I also
isn't the
think
problem.
if you if you did bring in Abu Kamara, Murphy wouldn't have came in. So that
No,
that and Murphy had a fantastic season. The goals and the assists that he put together for the team were instrumental as well. It was nice to see Abu Kamara get a nice reception at the whole game as well, and he did come over to the Pompey fans and give them a round of applause as well. So that was nice. You touched upon Matt Ritchie, and actually, probably the four players that I would say, and you may disagree, you may have somebody you want to add on
mm,
to this. Schmid, Matt Ritchie, Josh Murphy, and Freddie Potts for me were the sort of players that came in this season, and you thought, yeah, this is sort of the spine, but this is also players who brought that experience of the team. Josh Murphy obviously had a brilliant season at Oxford. Had his figures were fantastic. Matt Ritchie obviously released from Newcastle, so came in a free. But there was definitely times this season where I agree with you. He had, he didn't have the best of starts, but there was some games where he was just bossing it. He would
yeah,
not stop running, and considering he's 34, 35, his experience was incredible, and his movement off the ball. Actually, you can see that he has played at the top level because you can see that intelligence in some players. They
mm.
don't always have to run. They will just watch the game and watch the players to see what's going on.
Yeah, it's the thing I love about Matt Ritchie. Like I said in one of my videos recently, I feel that we need to get another winger in who has got the pace to beat a man. But I think Ritchie's such a good player. He doesn't really need that. He doesn't have to rely on beating a man with pace. He's so intelligent, isn't he?
Yeah, and you can see intelligent players don't have to run. I mean, I know this is a complete different level. Dennis Bergkamp
Mm.
never ran. Dimitar Berbatov didn't have to run. Paul Scholes was not a sprinter. All these players who play in sort of those positions, they can just ping the ball around for fun, or they can get themselves in good positions to be able to dictate the
Yeah,
game. And I feel like that's what Richie did. It probably was a hindrance to Marlon Pack, to be honest, because I think when they played together, which was rare, it was almost a little bit too safe. If you
mm.
know what I mean? Because I think Pack is a good player, but technically, he's not as intelligent as a player like Matt Ritchie.
Yeah, yeah, no, I do agree. I do agree. Speaking on Pack, how did you feel about him being a centre back for well, the main majority of the season, dropping down?
It's not his position.
No.
And I know, Marlon Pack is always going to be down as a legend for the club, and he's one of our own. We sing that, we know that's the case, but the team has to come first. And for me, I felt like at the start of the season we were just trying to fit him in the team.
Mm.
Um, and I think then Mousinho sort of then started to obviously drop him and then bring him on for the last 15, 20, sometimes 10 minutes of the game, which I think fitted better. But I think that's because Matt Ritchie was more comfortable. So maybe Pack is not a centre back. I know for him, he probably just wants to play, but I would much rather have an academy player who is a centre back who can learn his trade and improve as the season goes on, rather than be one of the club legends who's just hasn't got the pace, hasn't got the strength to be a centre back.
No, I do agree. I do agree.
Freddie Potts, what has been your thoughts on Freddie Potts this season?
He's probably one of the best eights I've seen at the club since um, Lazara Diarra. Honestly, like he is so
Wow, that's
so
high
good.
praise.
Yeah, he is so so good. I think I first saw him play. I believe it was Sheffield United. I might be wrong. And he looked like he clicked in straight away. And obviously he got his place in the team pretty early on. And replacing him is going to be very difficult. Very very difficult.
Talking about replacements, is there any players that you think Pompey should go for this season, whether it be Championship or abroad?
Not off the top of my head, not yet. No, I've been looking at some of the rumours, and Charlie Savage is one of them. He's going to cost a lot of money for us to get him from Reading. Very similar to the way that Freddie Potts plays. So he would be a decent replacement. Obviously, is he Championship level? That's the question need to be asking. 'Cause he's going to cost us around £3 million, and that is, like you said, this season we spent almost 5 mil. That's
Yeah.
60% of that on that guy. So for me, we need someone like Freddie Potts. Even if it is a loan, I'm still okay with getting loans in. I feel like we can still rely on getting a loan player in from one of the Premier League teams. We've got a few that they're looking at the moment. There's a player I spoke about briefly, Saki. He's a player who wants out of Crystal Palace. Palace don't want to keep him. He went on loan to Sheffield United, had a very good season there. He's a player who could definitely fit in for that kind of pacey winger role, to come on for Matt Ritchie or even play over him. But in the midfield at the moment, it's a position I'm not too good with. It really is. But Charlie Savage, I think, looks like the main guy for that role.
Interesting. Today, there's been a lot of reports, and there seems to be every transfer window about the return of Jamal Lowe. Would you take Jamal Lowe back?
I personally wouldn't. If he's not getting into the Wednesday team, I can't really see him getting into us. He's 30 years old now. He left on bad terms anyway, Jamal Lowe. And now I love the guy. Met him in Tesco once. He's getting a meal deal. Great time. But sometimes it's just, I feel like Pompey fans especially, because a lot of us, not a lot of us, but for me, for you, we're watching Premier League football. We've seen these amazing players who've played for us go on and have a great career, and a lot of them players are now getting to the age of nearly retirement, and there's a lot of nostalgia around signings. You want to get the players that make you feel good, like Joel Ward,
Mm,
an ex Pompey Blue. People want him back. Would he get into the team? Probably not. Would he do anything for us? Probably not. And that's the way I kind of look at Jamal Lowe. A lot of like younger people, your 16, 17-year-olds, they look at Jamal Lowe the same way we look at ex Pompey players like
yeah.
Patrick Berger, for me, who's amazing. That's the way they view that man. So they will want him back. But I'm telling you now, I don't think it would work. I really don't think it would work.
I think also now that the pay structure and our wages and everything is completely different. Like we said, 4.9 million this year. We don't have those funds to be able to
Mm.
spend big. And I think you're right when it comes to loan signings. The Championship's probably the hardest league in terms of getting those loans in because players are either they really want to be one of those teams which are pushing for promotion because they want to be seen and want to get to the Premier League,
Yeah,
or they're going to be one of those players who are just constantly at that sort of bottom half of the league, always fighting with their clubs. So it's tough to get those players to really come to you because they could go to a team who will be pushing for those playoffs.
no,
And yeah, you have to spend big, so it is tough. And of course, Wrexham will be in the Championship next season. Talking about spending money,
yeah.
um, there's talk still about Jamie Vardy going to Wrexham. Would you take Jamie Vardy at Portsmouth?
I think I would. Honestly, I think I would, just because it would make amazing videos. But I still feel he's got it in him, especially for the championship. But he will probably go where the money goes, right?
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
yeah,
Wrexham, they have
and it's
big
worth
wage
it.
bills. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
absolutely
think
no
he could
limit.
go there.
And you said about Joel Ward. So I agree with you. I remember, when Palace obviously won the league and it was won the cup, sorry, and people were saying, "Oh, it'd be great to have him back. He's out of contract. He's now an
Mm.
FA Cup winner as well." And as great as it would be to have that presence in the dressing room on pitch, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's been at Palace for a long time, but actually, if you look at the amount of games he's played, it's not been a huge amount of games because he's spent a lot of time injured.
Mm.
So yeah, I think I agree with it, especially when you've got that experience with Matt Ritchie. You've got that older head there
Yeah,
anyway. Um, although Ritchie hasn't won things like Joel Ward now has, I still think you've got that experience anyway covered.
no, I do agree. Like I saw about Joel Ward, he made one appearance in the Premier League this season for a minute. So he's played 1 minute of football this year. Do you want to get a player in like that who hasn't even had over a minute of football? It's for me. It's just, again, it's one of them nostalgia buys, isn't it? Try getting him back for the
Yeah.
nostalgia.
I also feel like if you're, and we spoke about the physicality and also the intelligence you need in the championship because it's so physical. If you are a player who doesn't play or hasn't played for a while,
Mm.
to take that step down to the championship, and let's face it, if Joel Ward was in that defence, he'll get bombarded all day long because that's what a defence tends to do most games. Would he cope? And the question is probably not.
Yeah, no, I do agree.
There is one rogue player that I would go for, and this is a lot of people who seem to really gutted about Yengi leaving. I mean, didn't play many minutes anyway.
Mm.
But the player that I sort of think would make a very interesting signing would be Ryan Hardy from Plymouth. Now, Plymouth are going
Okay.
down to League One.
Yeah.
Ryan Hardy scored 12 goals this season for a team that has basically been bottom the entire season. 179 games, he scored 52 goals for Plymouth. Plymouth have not been a great side. I mean, they improved when, to be fair, Rooney got sacked. But that's one player that I think we could afford. He's also now dropped into League One as well. And I think he's
Mm.
26, 27 sort of age. Is there any other ones you can think of, or any strikers you think? Because I feel like we need some support for Colby.
Yeah, I feel like the Ryan Hardy link that you've just made is a pretty good one. I've seen a few people speak about him. You know, he's one of these players who's quite versatile up top too. And also, I know they're not in the same league, but it stops him from scoring against us. 'Cause I'm pretty certain the last 5 games he played against us, he's scored near enough every goal. It's a joke. Didn't he score against Liverpool too, or am I making that up, in the cup?
I
Was
think
he
he
the goal
did.
scorer? Or
No, it was the midfielder. I can't remember what his name was. It was an amazing goal. I can't remember who it was now. But yeah, Plymouth knocking out Liverpool. That was the highlight of
weird,
their
isn't
season. And now they've lost their manager as well as going down to League
it?
One.
Yeah, I know.
So that's very interesting. League table this season, obviously, I can't remember what you predicted. I mean, when I was asked constantly when we won League One, I said it would be the highest we'd finish is 12th, and I thought it'd be around 14th. So actually,
Mm.
16th for me wasn't a huge surprise. A lot of people were disappointed because a lot of people were saying we're going to make playoffs. Didn't ever really see that.
No.
16th, 14 wins, 12 draws, 20 lost. And the stat which really interests me, so he scored 58 goals. We let in 71 goals. The only teams letting more goals than us were Plymouth, who finished second from bottom,
Yeah.
and Cardiff, who finished, of course, bottom. So, I mean, that would suggest we definitely need to sort out the defence. And like we've said before, Schmid was, I mean, if he saved 7 to 8 points that last season, imagine if he wasn't in goal.
No, legitimately. The way I look at the whole defending situation is, I can't recall having 3 games in a row where we played the same back line. At the start of the season, obviously we had Shaughnessy who was out, McIntyre who we thought was actually going to be pretty good. He was out.
Yeah,
Obviously we brought Farrell in. He went out. Like, we're getting injuries left, right, and centre. If we can go a season, so for this season, with a back line that is suited to the T of Portsmouth, you know, can defend, can play out from the back, have the pace to catch their man, catch their runner. Because obviously with Marlon at the back, he hasn't got that. We saw that a few times. Something else going on with Marlon is I've realised it a lot. He kind of drags himself out to try winning the ball way too much, and it does leave that gap in the back line, and we have conceded from that a few times. I feel like if we can keep the back line fit,
Mhm.
we do have a chance of getting to the 12th to top 10 mark. But you are right with what you're saying. Like we conceded a lot of goals, and it was down to the fact that we're playing a back line that a lot of the players we're playing weren't suited to the championship, and also just one of them out of position. Riley Towler wasn't getting in the team, some odd reason, probably because he's not good enough. Let's be honest. Um, so we're playing players who aren't the level that's needed for the championship, are out of position, and shouldn't be playing there in the first place.
Yep. Any defenders that impressed you this season? I know we're talking about sort of the leaking of goals, but for me, I actually thought Ogilvy was
Yeah.
quite solid in his position. I know there's a lot of people saying we need a new right back and a centre back,
Mm.
but I actually must say, out of all the players in defence, I'd probably say he's been the most consistent.
I love Conor Ogilvy. Ogilvy's my favourite player. He is. When I was there, one of my questions I was going to ask you was, who do you think was the most consistent player over the campaign? And for me, it is Conor Ogilvy.
Mm.
I think he played the most minutes for us too, and he's a player that I think a lot of people coming into the league kind of wanted to play second fiddle to another player. We got Farrell in. People wanted him to
Yeah.
start. I think Conor Ogilvy is good offensively. I think he's good defensively too. But again, he's not that attractive left back that people want to see. So that's why people judge him so much.
Yeah, but I think what you get from him, I mean, he's strong, he's solid. So people are going for him. If he really wants to make a mark, he'll do that crunching tackle within the first couple of minutes. So he
Yeah.
makes himself known to those wingers, whoever he's playing up against. Um, who could Pompey go for if they were trying to sign defenders? Because I've been trying to think of this for a while, and I keep looking at how much we are probably going to spend this season, and it's tough to see anyone other than the sort of teams that have gone down, which
Mm.
obviously you don't really want a defender from Cardiff, Plymouth, because they're not really going to do much for us. But I mean, loans are a little bit more tricky. I mean, who can we get?
The one that I think everyone wants, and I can see it in the chat now, is Rob Atkinson. Obviously, getting him back is, I think that should be our main priority for a defender. We saw how good he was, and again,
And
when we
scored
speak
goals
about,
as well.
yeah, literally, he's got a hat trick and a Pompey shirt. Um, the players like that who have these loan spells, he's reignited his career after being out for 2 years. He loves Portsmouth. He's happy to come back to Pompey. We just need to hope that Bristol are happy to sell him, basically. And they got a new
Let's get
manager in now too.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we'll see what will happen, and it's going to be a long summer. I mean, we're still only in June, so there's so much time for transfers. There's going to be a lot happening, a lot of managers changing all over the place, a lot of players moving on, and who knows what will happen. What would be your expectations for next season? Would you predict a major improvement, or do you think this is? I mean, you said earlier 5 year sort of plan. What do you think the plan for next season will be?
I would be happy just again to stay in the league, even if it means we finish 17th instead of 16th. But what I want to see more is away results because this season we all know how bad we were away. We need to change that. We need to start getting points away from home.
What's the key to getting those points away?
Keeping a fit team. I think Mousinho, he tried, his ideology for last season, especially with a few games, West Brom being one of them, was to start just playing a really weak team. Because obviously, you play 3 games in a week, obviously, people get knackered out. Is play a weak team away and then a stronger team at home and hope to get a result. Obviously, it didn't go the way that he wanted to. He lost to West Brom and then also lost to Millwall. But for me, it's signing players who are good enough to play possibly first team football, so good enough for the championship. Who, when we do need to kind of throw the team around, they can come in and play well. A lot of it will come down to the board and come down to the transfer team with getting the right players in.
Yeah. So another season. Do you think it's going to be a relegation scrap again, or do you think it will be a comfortable mid-table 15th, 16th sort of finish?
It depends on how you look at a relegation scrap. Because for me, a relegation scrap is 7 to 10 points, but that's most teams from 14th to 24th. So I feel like we're still going to be in that bracket where every result really does matter. It's not
Mm,
going to be the fact that we're eighth in the league and 18 points clear. So if you do drop a few points, it is what it is. I still feel we're going to be in that scrap of we could, if we lose the next three games and results go the way of the other team, could drop down to being 20th to 24th. So I still feel we're going to be in that position.
okay. The teams that are coming down, Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester. How do you feel they're going to do on their return to the Championship?
I think in my prediction video, I think I put Ipswich at the top. I feel they're going to have a really good campaign. Um,
Okay.
I think they're a team that teams like Portsmouth should probably look up to in the way
Mm.
they do their business, the way they play football. Very similar to the way Pompey play too under Mousinho. Um, I have Leicester to. I still think they'll get top six. I do feel they'll get top six. Apparently, they've got a points deduction or something. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, PSR apparently is going to hit them next season, so they probably, I
Yeah,
think, between 6 to 10 points potentially they're going to
ooh,
start the
10 points
season
is a
with.
big one. I still think they'll do pretty good though. I think they've got a good enough team around them. Southampton is it's a tricky one. I'm not doing this out of bias. I'm really not. I feel that they're going to have a really poor season to their standards anyway.
Mm.
A lot of players are going to be leaving. I think they've already made a few okay signings. They've got to see their new manager in now. It's going to be definitely a transition period for them. So I know I put them 12th in my video. I feel it'd be anywhere from 6th to like 8th for them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real interesting season for them, and just see what happens, I suppose. Which gets us on to the Derby game, the South Coast Derby. Will you be attending the home and away games this
I
season?
hope so. I really do hope so. It's going to be really hard to get tickets, but even if it means I'm just outside chilling, having a pint or whatever, I will definitely be there.
I mean, they're going to be pretty hectic.
Yeah, they will be.
I've not been to a Portsmouth Southampton game since the year I went. I think I was 16 years old or whatever. And I was there the year a Pompey fan decided to punch a police horse, and I was just like, what on earth is
Mm.
going on? And I think that's the only thing that annoys me about derbies when it becomes not about the football. I'm
Yeah,
all up for banter, I'm all up for giving it large to the away fans and all that stuff. But sometimes it's just like there's more important things in life.
yeah,
Maybe
no,
not for this
definitely.
next hour, but other than that, this just yeah, we'll see what happens. Predictions for score lines then. So Portsmouth first Southampton at Fratton Park, and then
Mm.
Portsmouth at St Mary's.
I think they'll both be draws. I do. Just like the last campaign.
Straight down the middle.
Yeah, I think I have it in my head that the first one, regardless of if they're at St Mary's or home, is going to be really boring. End like a 0-0. People will be furious. And then the next one, regardless of where we are, I think we're in a draw, but will be goals shared. 2-2, 3-3, something like that.
Right, okay. Well, we'll see what happens with the Derby games, but there we go. Last one before we crack on with the questions then, because this was something that somebody asked me to sort of put on here, was
Mm.
talking about the best away fans we had at Fratton Park this season. So I didn't go to all the home games this season. I think I went to about 10 or 11. Um, but was there any standout away fans for you that came to Fratton Park?
I mean, Plymouth were pretty good, but then they're always pretty good. Um, Cardiff were poor. Stoke were poor. Um, Burnley was okay, but I think for me the standout was probably the first few games we played, and that was Baggies. West Brom were really good at home, and
Yeah.
Sunderland were also very good. So I'll probably say West Brom and Sunderland.
Yeah, I mean, Sunderland, I was so pleased when they won their playoffs. I've got a friend who's a Sunderland fan who I went to
Mm.
school with, and their fans are just incredible, absolutely amazing. It also means that Portsmouth haven't got to travel all the way up to Sunderland
Yeah,
this
yeah,
season,
very
so that
true.
also helps as well. The one that and this is was strange because I wasn't expecting it. I did have Plymouth off my list as well, and I did have Burnley considering how boring they were. Like, I've
Mm.
never seen so much time wasting for a team, which will be interesting with them back in the Premier League. Oh, I hope they get absolutely ripped. But there we go. The one that I put, and this probably because it was the last game of the season, it didn't matter for us, but it did matter for them. Well, Hull. I was
Yeah,
so surprised at how one they were just everywhere. They were in the Pompey fan zone. I've never seen that many away fans in the Pompey fan zone. I was also was out that night as well down Southsea, down Palmerston Road. There was still Hull fans walking around. They were saying hello. They were like being really nice. I think they're just nice people in general, but it seemed like they came down in force and they came down just to enjoy themselves. Like they could have got relegated that day.
Yeah.
You would not have thought they were not nervous. They were pretty calm. They honestly weren't bothered at all.
Yeah, so I was down Albert Road that night and I was seeing them everywhere in numbers too. So, and that, like you said, there's something you don't really see too much. I think like you've got your designated away fan pubs, haven't you, in Portsmouth?
Yeah.
And that's where they go, but not the whole fans. They kind of just do their own little thing. So I'm happy they're still in the league. To be fair, I'm looking forward to seeing them at home next season.
No, I thought they were brilliant, and yeah, I mean, they were dressed up. You would, it just felt like a really friendly atmosphere. Like,
Mm.
no, I reckon if you said, "Oh, do you know these guys can get relegated today?" Then we're like, I didn't seem bothered. Anything. They were just super calm and happy, and the weather was nice as well. So
Yeah,
maybe that helps. A lot of people dressed up as well. Okay, right. So that takes us to the end of our Portsmouth season review, and we're going to try and do some of these over the course of the season, maybe game reviews and
yeah,
game previews as we get along. But it's now time for the question round. So how are we going to do it? We're going to do one for each other at a time, or
yeah. So I've got a few
okay,
from Instagram that people wanted me to ask you. So I've got a few of them, and obviously,
okay,
boys in the comment section, you throw your questions, and we'll ask away.
yeah, we've got a bit of time. Cool. You go first then.
Let's have a look. I've looked through the Instagram ones. So Joe Fowler 07 said, "Would you take Bazunu back?"
No,
No, quick and easy.
that was yeah. No, I wouldn't. No, I don't even know how to justify my decision. It's just no.
Love it, love it. I'm sure you'll love it
Okay.
too.
This is a tough one. Okay, so
Yeah,
this was on TikTok question. So you have to build your own Mount Rushmore from Portsmouth players. I did double check. There's four faces on there. I thought it was five, but I
yeah.
did have to double check. Four players, past and present, managers or players. Your Mount Rushmore for Portsmouth.
Oh mate,
This is tough.
yeah, that's tough. So Mount Rushmore of players and ex-managers or managers. Right.
Anyone? Yeah.
So for me, one of them has to be Patrick Berger. I loved Patrick Berger, even though I never got to watch him live. I was a baby, but just watching him play football, yeah, he has to be on there. Like really, really class player. Um, ah, I'm not gonna go with like Jimmy Dickinson and stuff because I feel like it's easy to put Pete Harris and Jimmy Dickinson on there. So I'm gonna go with people that I've seen, right? So Patrick Berger, Carnu, because of the FA Cup goal. Even though he had a
Mhm.
stinker, that game was he was awful in, but it's fine. So yeah,
No
him.
one remembers that other than you.
Yeah, I don't know why I do remember it so well, but I just do. Carnu, I'm gonna have to put Harry Redknapp in there,
Yeah.
which I know
Uh,
is going to be controversial to some people, being the
Most successful manager, though, right?
yeah, exactly. He actually won something with us, um, and then Mousinho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That is
there you go.
quite a Mount
That's it.
Rushmore. I
Yeah,
feel
he
like now
goes
you're
up.
going to have to create this image.
Yeah, I
You're going to have
will.
to, you're going to have to. Maybe we can put it on like top of Portsdown Hill or something.
Mm.
Be quite a random, a random thing up there.
I could give you a reason for the Mousinho, and that is he kind of honestly the way he plays football, his philosophy has made me fall back in love with actually watching football, like actually watching Portsmouth. Like when I used to go to Fratton Park like, under Cowley and Kenny Jackett, it was
Oh
just
God.
hoping to get a result. It wasn't
Mm.
to watch the way they play football. It was hopefully we win this game. And even when we did, it wasn't like how good we played. There was always negative comments around it. But Mousinho's really brought the love of actually watching Pompey for 90 minutes, even if we lose. And so
Yeah.
that for me is on there.
I mean, I've also got to say, I mean, you're interesting because you said that the way he plays in the charity game, he was solid.
He was, yeah, he was.
Like he was brilliant. So he can still play. I mean, actually,
Yeah,
that could be our problem solved for the centre back position.
it would have
Stick
been, I
him back
reckon.
in. Yeah, done. Okay, go on. Your guy.
Righty, let's go with. Where is Tez hiding the fountain bubble mixture stash? And that is from Smithy17.
So I don't keep a stash. I just buy them as I go. It's just easier. Now, Superdrug is just there. It's on the corner. You can try Lush, but it's almost too fancy. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot to spend 20 quid to lob in Commercial Road Fountain. Like if you've got that money and that dedication, fair play to you. But just get a bottle of matey, 69p. Not that I know the price or I've ever done it before. And then you're fine. Keeps it clean. Portsmouth City Council love cleaning that out.
I bet they do.
Okay, right. This is a really random one, but I'm going to say the players that I'm going to give you are at their peak, the peak of their powers. Keep, bench, sell, Yakubu, Parnu, Colby Bishop.
Ah, see, when I think of Yakubu, I was thinking of a charity match. It's hard to think about how good he was back in the day. So at the top, that's hard, man. Sadly, I'm gonna have to say Sal Colby. You know, like Kanu and Yakubu are levels above him. I love Colby Bishop, but um, that's a difficult one. Kanu and Yakubu.
I mean, I don't remember Yakubu having that many games on the bench.
No, so he was just such a prolific goal scorer. I'd probably say bench Kanu and play Yakubu. That might be a bit of a controversial one, but that's
Mm,
probably what I would go
okay.
with.
No, I think I'd agree with you there. Um, yeah, I don't know if Kanu's that sort of impact sub, but equally, I think he just needs to be around those good players who do all the
Mm.
running for him.
Yeah, yeah.
So he just stick it in the net. But okay, yeah, that's a quite a tough one. That one.
So it's hard being 40 playing Premier League football, isn't it? So, all right, for you, from Pompey fan 1898, favourite game you've been to this season, and also if you did go to one, 24, 23 season, so the season we got promoted.
The season we got promoted, I go with first. The game that I enjoyed the most because of the atmosphere and because it was pouring down with rain. That's why I remember it so much. Was the Derby game,
Mm,
2 all. Incredible game. I thought Derby were very good, and I thought Portsmouth played very well as well. You could tell teams were both sort of gunning for promotion and both going for it. So that was the game for last season. This season, I wasn't at the game, but I'd have to go for the Norwich one.
mm. The
Um, I,
5-2
I
away
watched,
from
I,
home.
yeah, I watched it on
Yeah,
TV. That's the one that I would probably have to say
yeah.
because I just thought we just looked like every time we went forward we scored. And Norwich are not a bad team either, so that's the one. Watching live, probably because I was seated quite close to the away fans, the Plymouth game. Because there's nothing I love more than just watching the home fans give it to the away fans.
Yeah.
And then after the game, actually, it was all really mutual and everyone was happy and smiling. So it was quite nice. That was quite a nice atmosphere. Um, yeah, that's probably the two games. What about you?
See, 24-3 season, I didn't even go to one. Didn't go to one. So the game I watched and loved the most was definitely the Barnsley game where we got promoted. But for this season, it'd probably be Cardiff away. And we got
Oh,
beat
okay.
2-0, but it was just limbs from start to finish. Like, everyone was so happy. We were louder than the Cardiff home fans. So for that reason, and the Alex Robertson coming to the fans too, and everyone giving it the big into him, I would say that was probably the best game I've been to this season.
Oh, okay.
That was a
Right.
bit of a weird one considering we lost, but
Well, still, you've got your reasons. So there we go.
exactly.
Next one. Championship this season. Top two to get promoted. And who will be the playoff winners?
Ipswich will win the league.
Do you think convincingly as well? Do you think they'll
Yeah, I
smash
think
it?
I think they will. I think they'll have a really really good season. I'll be
Even
shocked
without
if they
Liam
don't.
Delap?
Yeah, Liam Delap going to Chelsea. Apparently, Mark Gui? He's linked to going from Chelsea to Ipswich on loan, which I think will be quite a good move for him and also for Ipswich. But I think even with Liam Delap going, I think George Hurst is just as good to do well from this season. If they can keep the team in a very similar position, player wise, I think they'll have a really good campaign. So I'll probably say them second. I'm gonna go Sheffield United. I think Sheffield United will do it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go with Coventry to win the playoffs. About time, too.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Sheffield United obviously just missed out. And they
Yeah,
were strong favourites as well for the playoffs, but I'm glad Southampton. No, not take that back. I'm glad Sunderland managed to do it. Still red and white. It's too many red and white teams. We
yeah,
were
too
talking about
many.
today. Okay, go on. We've got a couple left.
Righty. Um, we got the iconic favourite boozer, but we all know what that is. Newcombe Arms.
We do.
Um, Boys, ask away. Ask one question quickly. Get one from you lot in the comments.
There we go. One for both of us. Who's one player you want Pompey to sign? So I've said mine. I think it'd be Ryan Hardy from Plymouth. I think it's realistic. I think we can get him, and I think he'd do a job.
Biggest letdown this season for me. It's McIntyre. For me, it's McIntyre. I
You
don't
answered
really
that
like hating
way
on
too
players.
quickly.
Yeah, I don't like hating on players too much, but he was the way people treat Pack needs to be like tripled when speaking about McIntyre. He is a defender, and he's just so dreadful.
Okay,
Bit
well,
personal, sorry. Can't help it.
right. Here's one for you. Okay,
Uh,
so you have to take one Southampton player from the past at the peak of their powers and put them in the current Pompey team. And then you have to take one Southampton player from the present Southampton team and put them in the Pompey team. So that's two players, one from the past and one from the present. Who would you take?
I'll take Peter Crouch from the past, being as he's done it before, so I don't think we'll be too heartbroken. Um, and from the present team, it would be Fernandez.
Oh
He
yeah,
is quality. Yeah, I'll definitely,
he's
and I
still.
think
They
he's
haven't got rid of him. He's still there,
you
isn't
haven't
he?
no.
How have they
So
managed to hold on to him? But
I don't know how, but him as a Potts replacement would be
oh wow, yeah,
disgustingly good. So that's my two. Again, I answered that way too quickly, but
you were
it
ready
is
for
what it
that
is.
one.
I was indeed. I'll ask you the same thing. If you could take two from past and present, who would you take?
Oh, I think a lot of past people are going to pick people like Letizia or Benali, but past, just because he was born in Portsmouth and he is a Pompey lad, his family are Portsmouth fans. Past, and I'm going to say past because
Mm.
he's still playing, but he's not as powerful now. James Ward-Prowse, because he is a Pompey boy, technically. Present, the defender, the centre back, what's his name? Taylor
Oh, was it?
Harwood Bellis, is that
Yeah,
his name?
Howard Bellis. Yeah, yeah.
Um, the one who so he's engaged to Roy Keane's daughter.
How,
How and that's why he gets it because I think that'd be funny. We get Roy Keane
that
down
would
at
be
Fratton
funny.
Park,
Yeah,
and then hopefully he can play midfield.
yeah. No, I'm for that. Imagine getting him on a video, would be class.
That's his job.
Oh, how funny. So, the question off the top of my head I'll ask you is who do you think from the Pompey team, right now, the current Pompey team, who do you think will go into management and become a manager?
I think Matt Ritchie definitely will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Matt Ritchie almost like a transition in terms like how players like Scott Parker, Tom Cleverley, instantly come in. If Mousinho was ever got rid of, it wouldn't surprise me if Matt Ritchie was part of that setup. Marlon Pack potentially. I don't know if that is his ambition, but I'm guessing he probably would want to do it down here. I think who else sort of in the squad. Um, yeah, they're probably the top two. I know they're the oldest, but
Yeah.
they're the ones that would stick in my head. Who do you think?
I think, yeah, Marlon. I think Marlon would be really good. Captain in Pompey. We see how vocal he is. So I feel like he's got the right ideas. But again, it is out of Matt Ritchie and Marlon Pack. Matt Ritchie's played at the one of the top level in England for a long time. Um, so surely he's got the intelligence behind him. We can see that on the pitch too. So I think he could definitely go into being a manager.
There's also a lot of local teams around the city
Yeah.
that AFC Portchester, Moneyfields, Havant, Waterlooville, Gosport Borough. There's a lot of teams where if they wanted to start at a low level and sort of build up, there was a lot of teams they could go to. I mean, Matt Ritchie could probably go in other areas as well, but I reckon Marlon probably want to stay more local, maybe. Or me or Milton, yeah, maybe me or Milton. Back in Milton Rovers. It's a lot of clubs. Right, I've got a question for you, which I think is a really interesting one, and it's not football related. Well, it could be. So, Cracky, please
Mhm.
ask Cracky this question. What inspired you to create content for social media, and what are your aspirations and goals from creating the content that you're creating?
Wow, that's a great question.
It's very deep.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I've always kind of wanted to do social media, even from like a young age, if it was gaming or whatever. I just never really had the bottle to do so. So I basically started this account, and it was meant to be FIFA related stuff. I got very bored of that very quickly, and as some people probably do know, November in 2023, my brother ended up suffering a traumatic brain injury, and to stay around him, if I wanted to do any type of content, it would have to be something like a voiceover or something else. I wasn't playing my FIFA because obviously I was with him. Sad he's in Southampton, but it's okay. So I started doing football stuff. I started speaking about Pompey. And I started doing well in the January 2024. And that's why I kind of stuck to it. Because I started enjoying it more, could be around him when he's recovering from his brain injury and also make videos at the same time. So it was something that also took my head, like my head away from the whole situation. So yeah, that's how it started for me.
Do you feel like it helped?
Yeah, definitely,
Because, yeah.
100%.
And what are the goals and aspirations? What I mean, is there a goal?
There we
What do you
go.
want to do? Where do you want to take your content?
The goal was originally 1,000 followers, but 11K now, so I've done that and beat that by quite a mile. For me, the goal is probably to, without trying to be cocky, to make this into something livable. You know, it's something I love to do. It's something that I put a lot of time and effort into. So I would definitely say the far goal is to do this basically for the rest of my life. But say a short goal is to do something with a football team, if it's like AFC Porchester, Moneyfields,
Hmm.
or even something Sunday League. Just something like that I think would be quite fun.
Do you mean like creating content or working with
Yeah,
them?
yeah. Like creating content for them or doing something around that. I think would be
No, well,
quite
there's
enjoyable.
plenty of clubs about. I'm sure they'll take you on board. I'm sure
Imagine.
you'll have no shortage of suitors. I'm sure.
Class. I've got one
Mm.
more. That's from Tris Lee 22. He asked, "What positions do we need to strengthen, in your opinion?"
Defense. I think the stats sort of say that. And although we did score goals this season, I still think we need backup for Colby.
Yep.
I think Sadie is brilliant at holding up the ball. His strength in the final third, but his finishing ability not quite championship level in my opinion. Um, Yengi, I mean, he's gone anyway. Yeah, I just think we need that second string. I mean, considering Colby was out for a few months because of the heart surgery stuff, it wasn't too bad, but
Mm,
equally there was no one you were like, okay, Thomas Sorensen, not Thomas Sorensen, Elias Sorensen came in. It wasn't really it wasn't an explosion of talent. It wasn't what we needed. Um, so I would say a defender for me, a centre back, a right back, a number eight to replace Potts, and a striker. So you're probably looking at about 4 or 5 players.
yeah.
That's what I would say. And you're probably out of those 5 players, that you're probably three of them are probably going to be loans.
Yeah,
Um,
most probably.
and they got rid of a lot of players this season as well, so they're probably going to need quite a lot of players just to replace the bench and also that reserve team as well,
Mm,
because there's a lot of games in the championship.
yeah.
You have to rotate. You got no choice.
No, definitely. Definitely.
Where would you say? I mean, what would you say your priorities? We need Sean Raggett. Well,
That was one of the questions that kept getting asked to me was, do we take back Sean Raggett? I haven't asked it because no, we don't. Love the guy, but no. So for me, I think the wings a spot that hasn't been spoken about too much, but I feel we do
yeah.
need a replacement for the wings. Um, we do need another number nine. I heard Mousinho say that Tommy Waddingham won't be going out on loan this season, so he obviously will probably rely on him a little bit more this year. But I still feel we do need a number nine. I think someone who's a little bit different to Colby Bishop, and that
Mhm.
is, like you said, Ryan Hardy. I feel that's a really good link to have because he is a complete different player to Colby. Another centre back would be nice, especially if we don't get Rob Atkinson. Now we need someone like him,
Mm.
and also, like you said, a replacement number eight is a necessity too. Someone who can fill in for Freddie Potts week in week out. I think most of our money, if we're going to buy one outright, would have to go on that player, and it would have to work.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what the budget is. We'll see what will happen. I mean, I don't see us making a lot of money out of selling players
No.
this season. Obviously, we've almost sort of we haven't touched on him really much. Callum Lang, we haven't really spoken about him, but I felt like at the start of the season he could have been somebody who would potentially leave
Yeah.
because he would have suitors. But it seems like that's all fizzled out a little bit since his injury.
Yeah, it has, which sadly I'm kind of happy with.
Yeah,
Because yeah, it means we keep him for another year. But we saw how good he was. Even when he come back, I was at the game where he made the return. It didn't really look like he was out of touch with it. You know, he still looked like Callum Lang
they
from
still look fit.
three
Yeah,
months ago. Yeah, so for me, he is definitely. If we were going to have to make money, he's the guy that would end up going. Because I do feel we can get anywhere up to 6 to 10 million for him.
hmm
He's that good. Um, but again, I can't really see him leaving. So I feel like the money we'll be spending will not be from the players that we've sold to make that money. Like you said, like no one in the team is gonna. I feel like we can sell on and make a lot of money from anyway. You know, maybe
yeah.
Murphy, but then even that is he's 30 years old. How much would we make from selling Josh?
And also, who do you get to replace somebody who's been, a very important player?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Obviously, clean sweep of all the awards this season. So,
Yeah.
it's
So
what's the point? Yeah.
I do feel like we will probably do quite a few loans again, get a few loans in, which might be the way to go, to be honest, when it comes to the championship. We saw last season that it worked for us, so I wouldn't judge it too much.
Right. Cool. Okay. Well, we got to finish up because some of us have got work. So
Sadly,
I'll let you get ready so you can go off to work. But it's been a pleasure
yeah,
speaking
it's
to you,
been really
Cracky,
good, mate.
today.
Really
And
good.
we're going to try and make this a regular thing, guys. We're going to figure out how we do that because there's a lot of games in the championship.
Yes,
So to do previews and reviews of the games, we're going to have to figure out how we do it best.
yeah,
Because we both do work. So, and this is sort of a sort of little side hustle as well. But we hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to try and do it more often. And Cracky, I'm sure we'll catch up for a pint soon.
definitely. Nukem Arms is ready,
Exactly. And yeah, get down to Newcombe Arms. We'll be there tonight, guys. Get there now.
100%. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you, and thank you, boys, for being here too.
Take care, everyone, and thank you for all your questions. Sorry we didn't answer them today, but next time we'll do a live together and we'll just answer all your
Yeah,
questions.
yeah,
Take
definitely.
care, guys.
100%. Take care, boys. See you later, man.
Bye bye.